started and really dive into some of the things that we're going to talk about today, I just want to take a moment to just pause and officially welcome you, and thank you for being here, and just let you know that I'm truly honored to spend this time with you. And I honor the work that you're doing, truly.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really excited what you're doing too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Some of the things that I really wanted to dive into today after watching some of your recent videos is just about the work that you do around trauma. And I loved this video I watched of you this morning where you were actually asking some of your viewers some really specific questions to help them assess, where they're at. I think that we all, probably a good portion of us, have experienced some sort of trauma and how that shows up in our lives. But I would just love to just turn it over to you to introduce yourself, and let's dive in and talk about it.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Worley, and I have been doing helping people since 2011, seriously, with a full-time practice. And what I ended up doing is just focusing my business on trauma and abuse and addiction. And the reason for that, like probably most people that are really passionate about doing something, is because something they've been through. And what I had experienced was about 20 years of going through like different ways of talk therapy and not getting a ton of help with all the trauma and the abuse I had. And I have, my mom died of alcoholism. I have uncles that were, on meth and heroin and all of that kind of thing. And there just didn't seem like it'd be a ton of help for any of that area. And so what happened is when I had finally spent way too much money, and after 20 some years, and I'm still in all this pain, and believe me, this is one sentence I never want anyone to ever hear, which was told to me several times: I just don't really know how to help you. Oh. And that's tough because you're already in so much pain when you have trauma of any kind. And if you hear the words, sorry, I can't help you, I don't know how to help you. Mm-hmm. So that has been my motivating factor of getting out information to people, to helping them and giving them some answers that can truly help themselves. And so that's what my passion has been for the last several years, is just doing that.
Thank you.
So, well, with trauma is everybody has been through some kind of we can say little T's or big T's. And little T's can be anywhere from, you got in an argument with your family member. And it wasn't anything huge. It was just kind of, you disagreed at something, but you took out of it some hurt feelings and that kind of thing. A complex trauma can be something like, let's say that a child is in a family and he has not only one trauma, but he has to go through 3 or 4. So one could be he's being physically abused. He's being emotionally abused. He's being sexually abused. He is also watching mom or dad be on drugs or alcohol. Okay, so there's 4 traumas right there, which can lead, and we call that complex trauma. And so there's something called the ACE test, where people can actually test and answer these questions and see where they fit on the scale. But what they showed, which I feel like is so interesting, is the more traumas a person had in their childhood, the more likely they were at some later stage to become addicted to something, to be on antidepressants. Suicide was so high. And so to kind of explain that a little bit, is what happens is when we're a child, we're going through whatever we're going through. Our if it's too much for that little child to handle, the unconscious mind will basically kind of shut it off, kind of put it somewhere, compartmentalize it. And so the little child can function, the child can live, right? And do what it needs to do. And it's keeping that little child safe to handle it. Well, the child grows up, and the older he gets, the harder it is for the unconscious mind to keep that memory suppressed, or what happened suppressed. So what ends up happening is usually you can start to remember things. And it's very, very common for people who have had a lot of trauma or abuse, or just whatever it might be, to find something to comfort themselves. And it's usually not that good of a thing. So we can have addiction to drugs, to alcohol, to sex, to gambling, to money, to spending, to relationships, just finding our way, or to food too, and just anything to comfort ourselves. But the problem is that if you don't address what's happened to you, you're always going to be in some kind of cycle. And the body starts to break down. A lot of people have chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia that's going crazy right now. Just so many people are being diagnosed with it. And a lot of that is just stuffed emotions for too long. And depression, a lot of people might not know this. One of the biggest causes for depression is suppressed anger. And so when you take a lot of your energy to suppress something, it is going to actually play itself out in the body. And so anyway, that's just a little part about trauma. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's just so relevant to bring these topics to the forefront. And I look forward to talking a little bit more about some actionable steps how to start to resolve some of that. But for not just for the addict, but for the family members. And speaking from my own case and thinking about my own daughter, I just got stuck in this holding pattern and replaying these memories over and over and over again. It's these painful memories, and it's like your brain is just stuck in this need to find out where we went wrong as a mom. Like, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? And just replaying those memories of when they're younger. And the addict that's before you is, they don't look like your child. They don't sound like your child. And it's just this painful place, I think, for us to be stuck in as a parent. And so I think that can be traumatic, and it really keeps you stuck in that pain and that isolation and that fear. And I just would love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I can speak from a parent's point of view that is one of the most painful places to be, is to see your child like addicted to anything, and the pain that causes, because it's your child. You love them more than anything in the world, and there's nothing you can do. Mm-hmm. And so often, parents, I've worked with so many parents, and we are great as mothers. First of all, guilt anyway. Okay. So we're like experts. You don't even have to have anything bad happen. Okay. We're just guilty about everything the child does. Oh, it's our fault. We did everything.
Sure.
But then if you add the little component to your child is acting out with addiction, and the blame, we blame ourselves so tremendously. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I feel like what I would like to share with mothers is that, you have done your very best to raise that child, right? You gave it everything you had, and that child still has their own choice to choose. And there are so many reasons that kids get into addiction. And I know you probably have covered this, but I can just share, a little bit is, children can get addicted just by being, around a lot of people at school, the peer pressure. And then they have something inside of them that really likes that. And it's very easy to become addicted to whatever drug they like, or alcohol. And then we have, something could have happened to the child that the parent has no way of knowing. And with the statistics today with children, they're sharing that women have been, some kind of sexual something has happened to them. 1 out of every 3 women by the time they're 18. 1 out of every 5 boys by the time they're 18. So you've got that component. You have something that maybe there was a divorce in the family. It's not anything to blame yourself. It's just things that happen, and how that child perceives it, takes it on, and handles it. And I really hope that I can say that it's really nothing. The parents I know want to blame themselves, but there's so much more that has nothing to do with the parents as well. And there is a component, I'm going to share that to be factual. There is a component that there is sometimes things that happen in the family and the person becomes addicted. So let's just say that if they're in a family and there has been physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, that's a common factor for kids to get addicted. So I think the important thing is not to judge.
Yeah.
each other. Like if you have a child and it's addicted, and you know, you've got your surroundings of people, right, that know you. The worst thing that people can do is judge another person, because you have no idea what happened with that child. And, you know, I have seen too the best parents in the world. And if I can, I'll share a story.
Please.
Okay, so I worked with the mother and I worked with the child. Okay, he was actually not a child, he was like 19. And I'm very good at kind of picking things up. And he's like, no, there was nothing in the house. Like there was nothing going on in the house. Like there was no emotional abuse, there was no abuse of any kind, there was no trauma. My mom and dad loved me, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he started getting addicted with his friends and started getting in trouble. And I kind of find like, what's really the root cause? And then even working with her, loving parents, loved him. So you couldn't even blame it on the typical things. And I just want to share this little story. So I was only a practitioner for a couple of years, and I got the phone call that this woman, she calls me and she says, I need you to save my son. And that's a tough thing. Like that hit me to the core. Not only because that was a huge responsibility that I didn't know I could even do, but just to hear how desperate, you know, she was to save her son. He was not in a treatment center, and he was basically trying to get clean from heroin and sometimes meth. It had a little clean time when he was seeing me, and we worked together for like every single day for 2 weeks, tapping. So we used a modality of the addiction protocol, tapping. I think he probably had a couple relapses in that 2 weeks. But something that happened that saved him is he was with somebody and they got picked up by the police, and he had to go to jail for 3 months. During that 3 months, he tapped every single day, got out, is totally clean. Like I've even talked to his mom a couple years later. He's clean, he's doing great. So there are ways to overcome addictions if you can address things and the person really wants it. And so that's kind of what I want to do, is just, you know, get that message out that there are protocols and ways to help people seriously overcome whatever addiction they may have if they want to.
Absolutely. And I read on your website that you had talked about first of all, the 5 areas of trauma. And what are some of those symptoms that may start to show up, just so parents can be on the lookout for some of these things? What do they look like? What are some of the physical symptoms and some of the behaviorals that show up of trauma? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or abuse, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you can see the child like being withdrawn, like their personality changes in some way. They could have anxiety, depression, outbursts of anger, like school, they start to go down in their grades. They may want to stay more alone instead of being with their peers. Extreme cases I have seen where if you ever see a child cutting or burning themselves, huge sign. But most of the signs that you really want to watch for is if they're becoming depressed and angry, and their personality is just changing, or they're acting very strange around a certain person. If you see, you know, like maybe you went to the neighbor or something, and all of a sudden your child changes, you know, like feeling scared, you can just see the fear in them. So those are little things that you can look at. But what I've noticed, if you do have trauma and abuse, you are going to act out. Especially kids are going to act out, and anger is a huge one.
Okay, thank you. And the 5 areas of trauma, what are those?
Okay, the 5. Okay, I'm not sure what you're meaning by the 5 of the areas.
I thought that they were like. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have the little traumas, like I explained, and then the big traumas. And then the big traumas. Traumas, actually, you know, a car accident can be a very big trauma.
So it's a death, a loss of a parent, Divorce.
Yes, like flooding, a war, being in a natural disaster, um, anything like that. And then, what's a really big trauma for a child is like if they have parents that are addicted to something.
Right. Thank you. Because I think that some of those things just become so expected that we lose sight of that being a very traumatic experience for a child, is why I was pointing that out, because it's just, pick yourself up, you're going to be all right, it's a new day, and we may pass over, and then those things, as you had mentioned, will continue to kind of re-traumatize that child, and it'll show up in different ways. That's why I was kind of emphasizing that a little bit, because we all, especially adults, we get caught up in the day to day and things are going on, and we may miss those moments where it's like, wow, I really need to lean in. Maybe my child I need to have them talk to someone, and we may just pass over those moments where we could have really been more present for them.
Absolutely. And, just becoming more aware of what you can do and want to do, you'll be able to see the opportunities to talk to your child and help build like a trust with them, so that they'll want to talk to you and tell you, like, if they go to you and they say, hey mom, I'm struggling a little bit. I may have smoked some marijuana, or, may have had some beers with my friend, or whatever it is, you've got a couple choices here. You can reprimand them, and that may be good, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But somehow in this moment when that child wants to have confidence in you and trust you to go to something like this, like very few teenagers will. This is the opportunity just to be there for them, to trust them. Of course, you don't want them to do it, but if you break that trust and you get angry, that's done. They're done. They're not coming back to you.
I was thinking of that as you were saying that. That's just such a small window that if you miss it, I mean, it's very easy to just be caught up in what you're trying to do. And as a parent, just trying to get things done, especially if you've got multiple children, where you can miss that opportunity and you go and try to recreate it. And it's going to be really tough to do. Yes. And also just thinking about, like, when you're seeing the anger showing up and all that, like, again, just looking at that as an opportunity to ask some questions and to really find out what's going on. Because again, like, I just really feel like as a parent, especially as a single mom, I was a single mom, just trying to get by, and I can look back, and that's where some of the pain pops in for me, looking back and going, wow, trying to identify that moment or whatnot. And that can be re-traumatizing for me as a parent, because I'm like, wow, what did I miss? Where should I should have been paying more attention, this and that. But we are, as you mentioned, I know that we're doing the best that we can, but for those parents now that may have youngsters that they're trying to take care of, and if they're seeing that aggressive kind of behavior showing up or whatnot, just to, what do you suggest, especially teenagers, early teens, where they're being defiant, and what's normal teenage behavior?
Right. Some of it's normal and some of it's not. I think the biggest thing is if you see the child's personality change, that's like a big sign, super big sign. Like they were one way and now all their behaviors are changing in another way.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing is if you can build some kind of trust so that they feel like they can tell you. And one thing that I find is very hand in hand with addiction, okay, is trauma and abuse, especially abuse. And even seeing, a lot of people may not even recognize this. Yeah. I have seen a lot of clients that they come in and they are traumatized by mom and dad's fighting. Never was anything ever done to them. Like they were loved by both parents, but it was the parents fighting.
Yeah.
That just traumatized them so badly.
Especially if there's violence in the home. And I mean, that's a little bit more obvious, but.
And I think the one thing I would share, and this is also just my perception of things, is I know as a parent, I have beat myself up tremendously over so many different mistakes. And what I've come to find out is working with so many different people from so many different backgrounds is, they come in and they'll say, oh, my parents love me. blah, 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 or my parents didn't love me. And even though they say the parents loved me, they still don't feel loved. Like there's always a missing component. No matter what family it comes from, they always felt like they didn't get their needs met.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just wonder if, I believe it's impossible for a mother or a father to completely fill a child's, whatever that is,
That longing that they
yeah. And I have to just take it to a spiritual level. I feel like there's maybe just a part of us that long for something more that only God can give us.
Yeah. Yes.
And we as human beings can't really be God and do that thing for a child. But I'm just going to take it to another level. This is totally me, is what I've also, and I've this is why I've come up with this, because of all the people that I have worked with, is I honestly feel that our journey here and living with the parents we live with, and even if we have all these trials and the traumas and the abuse and all that, it's still part of something that will make our character and make us who we truly are. Yeah. And we can go out and do great things if we want to. Even if we go through a short time of being addicted to something, I think that will make our character strong if we let it. And I have seen I can't say a zillion people, but the ones I have seen that overcome their addictions go on and do, oh my gosh, amazing things. They're just amazing, intelligent, strong people. And they've just been hurt. That's it. There's nothing wrong with the way that they have chosen to go and try to comfort themselves and help themselves. And that's all that is. It's not about their character in any way.
Right. I agree with you on that. And I think just for moms to recognize that, well, at least in speaking from my journey, is that our journeys are very similar. And at least what I'm recognizing, my journey has been very parallel to my daughter's. I haven't turned to, addiction or whatnot, but the pain. I just want moms to understand that heartache, that you can start to look within, and there's this healing that can start to happen, and you can start to let the light in and the joy in, and you can learn to live again. And I know it's really hard for moms to understand this, but I believe that it can be a life filled with love and joy and all these things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be contingent upon your child's recovery, because they are on their own journey.
Exactly.
And once we unhook ourselves from that and we start to heal ourselves, this releases them to really start to heal themselves. I mean, there's this commingling that's going on, and it's really hard for me to just really explain that to moms. I don't know if you wouldn't mind speaking to that a little bit before we dive into some of the actionable things.
Well, I really feel like what I have, I'll just speak for myself, even though my girls didn't have like addiction things. I mean, I have one girl, she had a little bit of problem with the teenager, but what I noticed is when I healed myself, my daughters healed.
Yeah.
They didn't go to therapy. They didn't do the things I was doing. But when I started doing some major healing in the last, I would say since the last 7 years, is they changed.
Yeah.
They got stronger. They got better because they saw mom get stronger and mom get better. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we think, maybe we just need to show them how wounded we are and hurt we are and how sorry we are. And we'll just show them how bad we feel. Oh. And we think that'll make it all better for the child, but it makes it worse because they think, oh my gosh, then they feel guilty what they're doing to mom and dad. And,
and we have to show them that it can be done, because life just gets harder.
Exactly.
And the stakes are higher.
Absolutely. And so they need that strong mom. They need that mom to show, you know what, I am going to overcome this. And I hope that you will too, but I am going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the little things, like we talk about this a lot, but just about self-care and things like that we overlook. And it definitely does catch up with you. I mean, I've done so much healing internally, but even just this year, just the physical stuff that's been starting to show up for me, I'm like, I just feel very run down and tired. And physically I'm feeling some things going on where I'm like, okay, I need to just really take a look at my physical health and my physical well-being, because all of these things have to really go hand in hand to
they do,
to heal fully.
They
So I've seen you talk about this and the tapping, some of these other things that you do. Do you want to share some tools and some action items?
Yeah. So what we can do for ourselves is something that's very easy to learn. It's called tapping. And the main modality that I use is Utaptics. It's formerly known as Faster EFT. But I'm trained
Can
in
you say that again? What was the formal name?
Faster EFT.
Okay.
And so probably a lot of people have heard of EFT.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between EFT and Faster EFT is Faster EFT uses hypnosis and NLP and some other different modalities mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shorter and easier to learn for a person. Even a child can learn it very easy. And you can go to the root of the problem. So what I want to share with your group is that if you have pain inside about whatever has happened, okay, there's going to be certain events that you have recorded in your unconscious mind. So if we can just think about our unconscious mind as just a recorder,
Mm-hmm.
and it's recorded everything in our entire life and will continue until the day we die. Consciously, we're not aware of all that. But unconsciously, we have recorded everything. We've recorded how we see things, how we taste things, smell, feel, hear, all of it in every event. So if we have painful events in our life, we want to go back there to those painful events, to a specific memory, and start changing those. And for the unconscious mind to change how you feel, you have to release the negative emotions you have attached to those events. So that's what we would do with tapping. We use like the unconscious mind and the body, we work together with it, and we start releasing these negative emotions. And as we do, your mind will start revealing things to you. You get like these aha moments. It's like, oh yeah, now I understand why I do that. Oh yeah, that's why I do that. And then things start to come together for you at a conscious awareness, of why you do certain behaviors and why you feel certain things.
Cool.
And if you have a lot of anger inside, or if you have a lot of pain and sadness and depression, you can release that and change it. It's just your unconscious mind. It's got a bunch of stuff holding on to, your past, whatever it was. And so if you want to change your future and how you live, you go back and change what your mind's holding. And so that's what happened to me, which is very interesting. I went back and released all this trauma, all this abuse. Oh. And what happened is that's what I was tapping and releasing. I had been 20 years of therapy to where I started to remember everything I'd suppressed, but I had nowhere to go with the pain. I had nowhere to go with any of it. So when I started tapping, I started releasing the emotions. And what was so weird is I didn't even work on this. And the other areas of my life changed. I didn't even work on that.
Oh, wow.
Money, business, husband, children, all my relationships were getting better. I was feeling good. And I didn't go in there and say, oops, I need to work on my depression. I need to work on money. I mean, people do, and you can, but that's just not what I did. But everything in my life started to change. Like opportunities have come to me that I never, ever thought I would. And, I think I should share just a little bit about my history so maybe some people can understand that you can overcome anything.
Okay.
So I grew up in a family that everyone abused me. Okay. And it was nothing but just pretty much terror and horror all of the time for my whole life, pretty much just growing up, even to a young adult. So I had really, really crazy family members. Many people were addicted, which is understandable because there's too much craziness going in the house. Mm-hmm. So my mom did die of alcoholism. My dad was addicted to different things, but he was more functional, so you never really knew. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I had all these family members that did things. But what was going on in the house was, and I'm just giving you a very light version of what was taking place, but it was probably some of the worst things you could probably even ever hear or talk about. And yet here I am, which I never thought I could be in a life that I have now. Like I never thought it would ever be possible. And there was one point in all that talk therapy, I seriously, when people were saying, I don't know how to help you, I really felt like I'm just going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. I'm going to have to deal with it. And I've been addicted to different things over the years, like sugar, food, one time, I mean, this is being very open. I had 5 surgeries in 1 year and got addicted to Vicodin. So, I mean, I have that addictive behavior.
Right.
But I just chose to do different things in my life than my family did. And I was the only one that actually went out and got any help. And that wasn't liked either. But sometimes family members don't like you to get well.
Yeah, right.
So I just want people to know that you can overcome whatever it is. And if there's anyone addicted, you can truly, truly overcome your addiction, because the addiction is only because you have pain inside of you. Like there's
we've got like a windstorm going on. So I keep hearing these heavy branches falling on the ceiling. Okay. Sorry, please continue. I'm like,
So anyway, I just want you to know, like, if you or a child are addicted in any way, there is a protocol that we use through Tactics, and that is it's an addiction protocol that I have seen just work with so many people for 2 times a year. Faster T and /Utaptics would always go to Habilitat, which is a treatment center in Hawaii. And Robert Smith would take about 10 to 12 practitioners from all over the world. And we would work with those residents for about 10 days. And we lived with them, we ate with them, we did 3 sessions or 4 possibly sometimes a day, each person did, and worked with the whole community that wanted help.
Wow.
And these people have very, very, very serious addictions, okay, very, very serious, and they have had the worst of traumas. The people that I can at least say that we worked with, I mean, there was just very, very bad things that had happened to these people here. And what I saw is, like, we would do something that we would show them a fake drug just to get their emotions up to see what was there. And then we would tap it all out until they did not want it anymore. It made them sick to even look at that drug. So what we did, now some people were very easy to change and some people were not. But what we did is we addressed their pain. Why we used the addiction protocol. And I remember one of the girls, she was a tough cookie. She was like, this is all BS. This ain't happening. This ain't working. This is crazy. And I'm sure many of them thought that too, but it did help them. So they changed their mind. But anyway, she needed several sessions, and she was very, very addicted to meth and heroin. And after she had done like several sessions and several people had worked with her, she was at the end. She's like, I can't believe this. I cannot believe this is working. I seriously don't want it anymore. I always thought I just have to try to control, the craving.
Right. So what does it look like? What are you going to show us?
Oh, the addiction protocol. Oh, that would be very tough to do.
How do you do it?
Okay, so basically we're using tapping, but what we're doing is we're eliciting the certain questions from them to get the answers to find out their root cause, their patterns and beliefs. Okay, and we want to take that and release, just like I described to you, all the pain. So those memories have changed. Okay, so if you take the reason they're using away, there's no reason to use. Now then there's also the addiction part of it. Because if somebody's addicted, I'm just going to make up some. So they're addicted to alcohol. So they have a ritual. So we have to take the ritual offline. So that means, I wake up in the morning, I go to the store. Okay, we have to tap that out. Okay, I go to the store and I get my favorite whatever. Okay, we have to tap that out. Drive home. You have to tap that out. Go in, then they want the whatever it is. So you even release the sounds of opening the bottle.
I see.
Release the smell. You release the how it feels to hold that in your hand. the taste of it, the going down your throat. I mean, these are things people have said, that we have worked with. I'm just giving you like one example, but see, their mind has connected links to the whole ritual. So that's how they can get very triggered, because they could be like in the store and somebody's got their favorite something. And even though they haven't drank in 2 years, they see that and it's in the store, their mind goes, oh yeah. So we have to take that offline, so the mind does not connect anymore to that.
Okay.
So it's just like when they see it, it's just, there's nothing there. They don't connect to it. You even have to release their connections to their friends, to their favorite places they went. They all have rituals, whatever they were doing. If it's meth, if it's heroin, like we had to take off the sound of, the crackle, the smell, the tarry taste, the burning down my throat, so you have to take off every little piece of that, because your mind has that recorded and connects like, oh, and this is the bad thing about the mind with addiction. It records the good thing, but it forgets to record the bad thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get this reward. Oops. I don't really remember afterwards where I was laying in the gutter for 3 days and went to jail for 5 years. Oh no, the mind totally blocks that out. It's like
my daughter used to say that what she had learned in treatment one time was how they would encourage her to play the tape out, like keep playing the tape to the full, to the very end.
Exactly. Because our mind does this for us. Okay, well, that was a reward. That made me feel good. All the pain went away. I didn't have to think about that. I could escape my family. I could escape what happened. And that's what the mind will keep thinking about and bringing to the awareness, and then not the other bad stuff. So we try to bring that to their awareness, the bad stuff. So the thought of even wanting to do that makes them like, no way. So, and some people are very easy to change. Some people are not. You have to work with them, and that's okay too. But the goal is the same. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, as long as you get there.
Very cool. So do you have a few like actionable steps that you could share with people? I know that's kind of broad, but let's say for a few tips that some of our listeners could start to implement into their lives, just if they're struggling and maybe they're dealing with some kind of trauma that's been buried, or they're stuck in those patterns of replaying those painful patterns with their addicted loved one, like just some takeaways.
Yeah.
And then I would love for you to share after that, just share with our listeners where they can find you and how if they want to work with you and things like that. All right.
So basically what we're going to do is you're going to, so basically what we're doing is we're tapping. Okay. So here, we're going to tap here, where our collarbone is right here. I'm going to go under it. Okay. And you can use either side, both hands at one time. It doesn't matter. But what we're going to do is I want you to think, I'll just do it with you right now so they can kind of see. I want you to think of something that bothers you, nothing bad or anything. Okay. Just something that, is stressful to you, that bothers you. Could be at work, could drive home from school, work, or. Okay. So can you make it like a 10 bother you? So on a scale 0, I could care less. 10, I'm off the charts with you. It bothers me. Okay. Can you make it a strong 10?
And it's something not a big deal. It's like something just that irritates you to a 10.
Well, it could be anything that just so that we could show them how to bring it down. Okay. But I don't want to go into the huge, incidents here.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to talk about it? Am I thinking?
You can just tell us like what it is.
Okay. Basically. Oh gosh. I don't know, like if you've got someone a behavior that triggers you on some level. So I'm just thinking about someone that, that where the way that they interact with me, it's just their personality type might trigger me emotionally.
Okay. Can you make that feeling like a really strong?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they trigger you just by what they say? Are they kind of?
Yeah, it's where it's just something that was on my mind recently, where it takes me to a painful, it brings out an emotional, like I feel so frustrated in that moment where it makes me want to cry. Where I get like I can't control, like I feel that kind of frustration and pain
Okay.
that comes
And you know
out.
what that is, right?
No, what is it?
No, I mean, you know what that feels like to feel that frustration and
Oh, of
pain.
course. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so that's where I'll have you go right now, is just
Okay.
feel that frustration and pain when they do it.
Okay.
We won't go into too much story, but I'm going to show you how you can bring it down. If you rated it 0 to 10, how high is that frustration?
It feels like where I have to walk away. So it feels like at least an 8.
Okay, great. Well, we'll use that as the marker. Okay, it's an 8.
Okay.
Okay, so now what we're going to what people are going to do is, now you've identified the problem. You're going to just focus inside. You're going to notice what it feels like. So go ahead and close your eyes and just notice, what does it feel like to feel that frustration? You want to cry. Notice where it's at in your body. Notice what you hear. Maybe even it's something you might see. Anything you notice about it, just notice. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start tapping. And now I want you to open your eyes for a minute. And I'm just going to show you how you guys will do it at home. Okay, so we're going to start tapping on our forehead, so you can just follow me.
Okay.
And then we're just going to say, let it go. And you're going to focus on your fingers.
Okay.
Let it go.
Let it go.
On the side of the eye. Let it go.
Let it go.
Okay. Under the eye, let it go.
Let it go.
Okay. Under the collarbone. Let it go.
Let it go.
There's kind of a soft spot under there, so just let it go.
Let
Okay,
it
I
go.
want you to gently grab your wrist. Take a deep breath in. Blow it out. And say peace. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why we did that. We are talking to the unconscious mind, and we're telling the unconscious mind, here's the problem, right? You identified your problem. Let it go. Let it go, and then I'll have peace about it. Now, every single place that we tap is connected to an organ in our body that stores emotions. It's kind of this meridian highway. It's like a little highway. Everybody's familiar with acupuncture, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're using the same meridians as they use. And the meridians are like little highways when the unconscious mind tells the body what to do. And, if the unconscious mind says, I don't like this. This is really horrible. Okay. And the mind says, okay, well, then I'm going to respond to that and I'm going to feel horrible. And I may even hold that in my heart. Okay. So all these meridians go to every organ, like the heart, our lungs, our, stomach. Like this meridian goes to the stomach. So everything connects for a purpose. And we're literally just working with the troublemaker. It was the unconscious mind. Because the unconscious mind is telling you, be frustrated, I'm going to cry. And you're being triggered from something, somewhere, from this worker. Mm-hmm. And it's because your unconscious mind has some event that this person is triggering.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this happened, and this person's doing the same thing. Well, I don't like it. So, okay, so frustration, anger, whatever that was, what would you say it is now? You were an 8.
Well, when I was tapping, I was so fixated on what I was supposed to be doing. So what will I be thinking about if I was to do it again? Like, just so I was clear, would I be connecting to the feeling as I'm tapping?
You can connect to, basically you're just going to focus on your fingers once we've identified the problem, because it's kind of like breaking your unconscious mind's thought pattern. Yeah, we identified the problem. Now we're just going to focus on this and get your attention away from it.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
And then we'll go back and see what is left. And so, like, if I was to work with you, we're going to do a different round. We're going to do around what I would do.
Okay.
What I showed you is it's just an easy way you can do, because you already know what you feel. But if I'm on the outside working with you, I'll show you one round what I would do.
I mean, as quickly as that was, I would say probably it brought me down to a 5, but that's only because I wasn't really.
Okay. So think about how you know how to get frustrated. Mm-hmm. And I want you to find it again.
Okay.
It's how you get frustrated when this person does whatever they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so notice that. All right. Now you're gonna repeat after me out loud, and we're gonna start the same thing. You're gonna focus on your fingers.
Okay.
Okay. I release and let go.
I release and let go.
All this frustration.
All this frustration.
Inside the eye. I let go of the tone of what this person's saying on the side of the eye. You can open your eyes and follow me now. It's fine. It's fine. So I release and let go of what this person says to me.
I release and let go of what this person says.
The tone.
The tone.
Under the eye. The way he's looking or she's looking.
The way they're looking.
What it does to me inside.
What it does to me inside.
Okay, under the collarbone. I let this go.
I let this go.
All the meaning of it. I let it go.
All the meaning of it. I let it go.
Okay, gently grab your wrist. Take a deep breath in. Peace. Okay, so tell me what you're noticing.
Kind of a warm kind of sensation, kind of a clearing through my heart and my stomach.
Okay, great. And would you say what is it now, like 0 to 10?
Probably down to like a 3 or 4.
Okay, good. So what is it that comes to your mind right now about it?
About the feeling?
About what they do to you.
Oh, it definitely feels less than it did before, but it's that powerlessness and that feeling like I'm unable to. I think it's just that fear and that inability to save face and take care of me in that moment. It's like, how do I take care of myself in that moment?
Okay.
And when you're on display and you're feeling triggered and you're feeling your emotions kind of pop up, and it's not even, I care about this other person. It's not just this person it's a personality type that I've been starting to recognize that triggers me.
Okay.
And so how to be more aware of it in the moment and
I'll show you a trick about that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right, so let's tap.
Okay.
Okay, I release and let go of this personality type.
I release and let go of this personality type.
On the side of the eye. The way I see this person.
The way that I see this person.
Feeling so vulnerable.
Feeling so vulnerable.
Under the eye. On display.
On display.
I let it go.
I let it go.
The way it makes me feel.
The way it makes me feel.
I don't have to hear the story any longer.
I don't have to hear this story any longer.
I just let it go.
I just let it go.
Gently grab your wrist. Take a deep breath in.
Peace.
So what do you
That
notice?
felt good. That felt really good.
And that's what happens with tapping. The more you tap, like the layer goes down, then it finally starts to release out of your body. So we'll get it down to a 0. So what's left?
Probably about a 2. Yeah, again, it's just because I don't know that I notice when it's popping up, when it's starting to escalate. And then all of a sudden I'm feeling this flood of kind of frustration and emotion in that moment.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and tap. Okay.
Okay.
All right. It's in that moment. You go ahead and say it.
It's in that moment.
It's in the moment that I feel that frustration coming up.
It's in the moment that I feel that frustration pulling up.
Under the eye. That I can't do anything about it.
That I can't do anything about it.
I just want to go cry.
I just want to go cry.
I let go of listening to the story this way.
I let go of listening to the story this way.
I don't have to see it this way.
I don't have to see it this way.
I just let it go.
Just let it go.
Okay.
Peace. That feels good.
Okay. Where are you at now?
I think I'm probably close to a 0.
Okay, good. So we'll do one more round to get it to a 0.
Cool.
0, and then I'll explain.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. So what do you notice is still bothering you?
Yeah, I know what it is. Feeling like it's attention seeking, or that I am trying to control that other person, or it's confusion around all of that. When it's just trying to take care of me in that moment and that being triggered. Yeah.
Okay.
And how that I want to appear strong and confident in those moments and not vulnerable.
And there's something that we do in the session that would create what you want. I'm just showing you around, but
Yeah.
there's actually, like, if we do a session, we actually intertwine in your mind what you want. So your mind can learn, this is not what I want. This is what I want, to start creating what you want.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So let's tap.
Okay.
I let go of those moments.
I let go of those moments.
And I just replace them with feeling confident.
I just replace them with feeling confident.
I see myself strong.
I see myself strong.
And it feels good to be confident.
And it feels good to be confident.
Strong.
Strong.
I'm telling a brand new story about myself at work.
I'm telling myself a brand new story about me at work.
Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with me.
Let the rest go.
What was the last one?
I let the rest go.
I let the rest go.
Breath in, grab your wrist. Peace.
Peace.
So that's what tapping does.
Okay.
So maybe you could explain to your audience, like, what that felt to you.
Oh, it felt, and especially if this is via a podcast and you can't see what we're doing, it felt really empowering to reframe my story like that, and to recognize that it had nothing to do with who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, again, it's tools to walk me through things like that, where I can still be strong and be myself, and trust myself.
Yep.
That I don't have to walk away or be small or be triggered emotionally, that I can still stand within my own space.
Very good.
Yeah.
And that's what tapping does. It takes away the old perception and allows a new one to come in. The one that you want, that makes you feel good.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's tapping, and I will give you a link that's just a tapping instruction video.
Okay. I'll share it.
To them if you want. And so basically you can find me at laurajworley.com.
Okay.
Is that, and I do have a YouTube channel. It's just Laura Worley, and I will be also hosting the Worldwide Transformational Summit.
Tell us more about that. So that's been 3 years now that you've been doing that?
This will be the 3rd year. It's called Triumph Over Trauma Addiction. No, wait, let me get it in order. Triumph Over Trauma, Abuse, Stress, and Addiction.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, so I thought we would focus on that this year. We always pick a theme, of kind of where we want the direction to kind of go. And that's going to be kind of the direction with different speakers who have different ways of, helping people heal. But I thought, since there's been so much tragedy in the world lately, and just so much trauma, and just overall, there's just so much abuse and that kind of thing, which always seems to lead to addiction, and they just all seem to go hand in hand. So it's a good subject.
That's beautiful. And when is it, and where is it? Or is that information?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's free. It's a free registration. So it's going to be July 13th, and they can go to the website, WWT Summit, which stands for Worldwide Transformational Summit. Okay. And I don't know why I picked such a long name. It's really a hassle to write that out. But anyway, and so they can register for free anytime they want. So
thank you so much. Is it a full day event?
It's going to be, we've had it 10 days in the past. I may not do that this time. I may only do 7 days. And so what we do is we have 2 speakers each day, and they have 24 hours to listen to it, to those 2 speakers.
So it's all online?
It is all online. And
wow, Laura, that's great.
Yeah. So anywhere in the world you can hear it. And that's what we do. So we can bring information to people.
Thank you so much for being here and just sharing all of your gifts. And I hope we stay connected. I'm sure we will. I will definitely stay connected with you. And I just appreciate this time. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if people have questions for you, I'll definitely share those with you. And if the opportunity presents itself again, maybe you'll come back and we'll continue the conversation.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, Laura.